Hey everybody, welcome back to Biters. This is Dianne, your 40-something who is coming from the land of sliced fingers and skinny girl margaritas.
And as always, your zombified 30-something recording from a darkened basement, recovering from a long weekend of fantasy football drafts. Been busy. Sorry, everybody. It's just been one of those things where real life, work, jobs, everything got in the way, and it just kept going over and over, and nothing we could do about it.
Yeah, I was definitely off kilter as far as work and company went. And then it sounds like you guys had a visitor with a plumber that probably cost you a pretty penny.
Yeah, got a little leak in our shower area doing some damage, so we got some people working on fixing that. Awesome.
Sometimes real life really sucks.
Really sucks sometimes.
So tonight we're going to do episodes 8 and 9. So we're going to do the mid-season opener. And then 9 is the episode right after that, obviously. We're going to cram 2 episodes into one show.
And cram away we shall. So yeah, what's up?
Well, so the mid-season premiere was called Grotesque. It had 3.86 million viewers, so almost 4 million viewers same day. And that's down about 500,000 viewers from the mid-season finale. So, I don't know if people were just kind of like, oh, it's restarting. It's still summer. We've got other stuff we have to do. I'm not quite sure what's going on with the viewership. And of course, tonight we don't have any numbers for episode 9. But how'd you rate it?
The first one, I rated the first one 10 dry mouths out of, two dry mouths out of 5. That's what it did to me.
So I was even lower than you, and I rated it 1 out of 5 rotting canine corpses.
Yeah,
I struggled.
I don't know. It just, I definitely don't think, and maybe it's this, I don't think that should have been the lead-off episode coming back from a 10, 12-week hiatus from Preacher and the Olympics.
Yeah, I think they needed to do something that was a lot more gripping than Nick walking. And walking.
And walking and falling down and then walking some more.
I agree. I mean, I think that there has been so much going on, and not to get into the political thing, but just that too. I mean, there's been so much just flashing in front of our faces. Politics, Rio, all of this other great TV like Preacher. I'm hooked on Preacher. I think it's kind of tough to come back into those waters with not your best foot forward.
Yeah, so I mean, let's just roll through it real quick. It'll be a pretty quick one. So do you have epic fail and epic fail? Are we going to do this? We're going to retroactive this?
Yeah, okay. So, just to highlight a couple of things, and I won't labor on things as we usually do with the authors and all of that, but I did have to look up the word grotesque because I thought maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm not quite getting where this falls into the title. And grotesque means comically or repulsively ugly and distorted. So I didn't really see anything other than, the landscape Nick was walking through was pretty grotesque.
So when I seen it, I just thought it was a reflection of him, just dirtying himself up and just being that person. Because I know it's in some kind of books where they're like, he's a grotesque. Mm-hmm. So I think that's just them trying to make him the grotesque, and it's really him. So
I'll go with that. And maybe a little deeper, it's looking at who Nick is on the inside too.
Just a freaking desperate soul.
Yeah. So, just real quick, Kate Barnow was the author. She's written for shows like House of Cards and True Blood. She also wrote We All Fall Down, which is the episode from last season, maybe beginning of this season, where they, beginning of this season, actually, where they met the survivalist family and the husband ultimately kills, the mother and the daughter, and they're trying to take the other kid away. Remember that?
Yes.
And then, so she does have a connection to this series. And then the director's a guy named Daniel Sackheim, who actually has some pretty cool stuff on his resume, like House, X-Files, The Man in the High Castle, which I think is another awesome series. And he's worked on a couple of episodes of The Walking Dead. Isolation, which is where they find the bodies of David and Karen, and Rick is trying to figure that whole plot line out. And then When the Dead Come Knocking, which is where Michonne, Rick, and crew go to Woodbury to rescue Glenn and Maggie. So she's got some credit on the primary show.
Interesting.
And this is kind of a funny aside. So back when the X-Files were a really big deal, this woman named Bree Sharp did a really funny one-off song about crushing on David Duchovny. And it turns out that Daniel Sackheim directed the video for that song. So that was really funny. Cool. Yeah, if anybody's interested in finding the song, because it is really funny, it's called David Duchovny, and it's worth listening to. All right, so your epic.
My epic was, I've always said for a long time that I like seeing the struggle and the survival aspect of it. So just the little things, like Nick goes into that house and then the woman and her daughter come in and kick him out, and he quickly abandons his pack, which I was kind of upset about. Like, are you kidding me? Like, I just would have took the damn pack.
Yeah.
But just the kind of that living on the road and really just so close to death of dying and starvation. I think that's what really would get a lot of people, is starving to death or dehydration.
I think you're right there. I mean, I can see a lot of people not having resources, not being resourceful, and just giving up. And I thought it was funny because the part where he goes to eat at the cactus, the innards of the cactus, to try to keep himself fed and hydrated, and then he's vomiting it up in the next scene. It's like, well, I guess that old trick doesn't work. I guess Nick found out in the hard way there.
So, what about you?
So my epic really was that the cinematography was great. That's definitely a point in favor of Fear. It was just really beautiful cinematography watching Nick go through all those landscapes. And I thought that was shot very well. The other thing that I liked is that the music that they picked for the intro was really good. I like that song a lot. And it's a song called How Low, and it's by a guy named Jose Gonzalez. So I'll probably be adding that to my Apple Music. But when I'm scrambling for cinematography and music, that I'm kind of having a rough go.
Yeah, that's the highlight.
It's Brian's job to talk me off the ledge tonight.
Yes, it will be an attempt at something.
So that's kind of it for my epic. Did you have a fail?
Of course I had a fail. This one was easy.
Yeah.
So my first fail of this was when Nick is on the street and the banditos come rolling up, and main bandit 1 is struggling for his bullets because he wants to find Nick. He recognized, and he gets bitten. And then the main bandit 2, with the AK-47 or whatever he's got, he gets overrun. And then the third guy's like, screw this, I'm out of here. Like, no, like, these guys have been on the road. These gangs have been out there. And all of a sudden, because they think you see Nick as a zombie in there, that they want to kill him, that both of you get killed. Like, are you freaking kidding me? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, tremendous waste of resources and intellect. Obviously not, since they fell short on the intellect part for this exercise. But yeah, I don't understand sacrificing 2 people to potentially get someone who you don't even really know that much about and who is walking with the Zeds. I don't get it.
Yeah, and wouldn't you just like, he was cornered and he was a zombie now. Wouldn't you just leave it? But even then, how are you, even the guy with the AK-47, how are you letting yourself get overrun? You literally have an automatic weapon. You can pull the trigger and fire, and all you got to do is pull it one, shoulder height is going to hit them all in the head.
Right.
How are you overrun?
Well, and the other thing is, so whether you think Nick is alive or whether you think Nick is dead, who cares? If he's alive, he's not very alive. He's not long for this world in what they apparently know about the zombie apocalypse. And if he's dead and he's another zombie, who cares?
Exactly.
The motivation just didn't make any sense to me.
No, that was my fail. Very aggravating.
Anything else?
That was just my one fail.
Okay. So mine was just endless, boring walking. I was trying,
So
there are movies and books that I've read where it's been like, oh my God, this is a slog. And I was trying to find something in my brain. My brain was desperately reaching for something to compare it to. And you saying something about Nick being on the road actually reminds me. So I read Cormac McCarthy's The Road, and it was a struggle to get through that book. Same kind of thing, just endless, gritty misery. There was nothing about that book that was redeeming for me, and I guess that's kind of the way that this first episode went for me.
So I just thought of this. This is real, by the way. Penn and Teller created an app for the phone. This is years ago, by the way. Years ago.
Okay.
I don't know if it still exists. Penn and Teller created an app for a phone, and basically the app is, I believe, it's the drive from Los Angeles to Las Vegas. I believe that's the starting city, but Vegas is the ending city. And in it, you drive a car, and you can do 55 miles an hour is what I think it is. And the length of the game is you driving at 55 miles an hour. So it takes like 6.5 hours or whatever to drive. And that's it. Like, it's just one road. You don't do anything. And you literally drive. And you, like, the car, like, kind of is off balance. So you have to steer it constantly. And stuff like that. It was a fundraiser for something that they did, and everybody who bought it, all the money went to some kind of charity or something. So it wasn't like for profit; it was a scam.
Which is the only reason anybody bought it, right?
Yeah. So that's funny. I wish I could remember what it was called. I don't remember what it was, but pretty awesome. So The Walking Dead and Nick is this is Fear the Walking Dead. So fear Nick's walk, fear the walk.
I'm sorry.
It was tough though. It just didn't make sense on where it was happening or what it was doing. But I'm gonna jump ahead for one statement.
Okay, go.
And say when the girl, I don't remember the main girl, Luciana, and her two people. When they find him with the dog bite.
Yeah.
When they were watching him walk with the dead, they were talking about, is it him? Who is it? They were like referencing like, well, he is walking with the dead. Were they looking for another person who is immune?
Oh, that's an interesting thought. Now, the other thing that I think, knowing what we know with episode 9, were they looking for someone who played a key role in their little world in episode 9 very early? Which we'll get into. I mean, well, heck, everybody's watched episode 9, we're assuming. The guy who ended up sacrificing himself to the walkers. Were they looking for that guy?
No, because those walkers are corralled in there.
And then you don't think maybe this guy was on a run and then got hurt on a run? And that's, I mean, I don't know. I'm reaching, man.
No, I think we're going to find out more about that later.
I do have to say that when Luciana came on scene, she very much had that look of someone who's going to be a main character from here on out. She very much had that presence of someone we're going to see again. And there was a part of me that was like, oh, thank God, a new and interesting character. So I was kind of psyched to see that there was potentially a good character to come out of this.
Maybe.
I don't mean good in terms of nice. I just mean good in terms of interesting.
No, maybe she won't last forever, though. Maybe she won't make it back to the main group.
Well, and the guy from the Pharmacia was interesting, too.
No, we're going to wait for the next 5 more minutes. We'll get to those guys.
Okay. So what was your epic fail?
Is that we're going with 3, maybe even 4 separate storylines.
Ah, okay.
I don't want to do this again.
That kind of plays into my points for the next episode, so I'll kind of hold on to that. But yes, I agree. I would say my epic fail was just that it didn't really hold my attention. I mean, I have tried to watch it 3 times now. Tonight was finally the only time I made it through it. And I was seriously, honest to God, shopping for pants for work while I was watching it. I looked over at my husband and I said, would I ever shop on eBay while I'm watching The Walking Dead? Ever? He was like, no.
I was eating sunflower seeds and candy and Reese's peanut butter cup and a whole bunch of stuff. So two things. One, the bandits were kind of a cool twist. I liked that. I liked that they were constantly patrolling.
Mm-hmm.
They were just out kind of cruising their territories. They were doing some, they were running little recons. They were patrolling
Do you
their
think
territory.
they're patrolling to potentially find other people who are useful, to find gear, or do you think they're patrolling to kill Zeds? Because we were kind of trying to figure out, it just looks like they're randomly going out and killing zombies, but not even killing off everybody.
I think they're just out looking for people to kill.
Okay, so you think they're just roaming and randomly killing people who might potentially threaten their space, their territory?
Yep.
Okay.
I think it's just like if you were to, I don't really know how to say it. You're looking for people getting up in your. Whoops. Hey, we're gonna have to bleep that one out. Mark that time.
Right.
I think they're just out looking for people who are getting up in their business. And if you come across another rival group, then you're just going to kill them on the spot and just keep on moseying on. So that's what I think that means.
So the other question I have then is one single person really a threat?
Could be if it's the wrong person.
That's true. If it's the governor, it could be the wrong person.
Or if it's somebody that escaped you,
Yeah, that's true.
It could always be, because you could be leading a horde to them, so there's lots of situations where one person can do a whole bunch of damage. And it's easier just to kill somebody than to have to deal with them and worry about them.
Yeah.
Because the gangs have a system. They've got their own clique. They don't need any more people coming in. They have all the guns and the supplies. So if we're going to deal with one or two people, it's easier just to kill them and not have to worry about it than, especially a male,
So then the other thing that I'm thinking is I really liked the flashbacks. I mean, I did appreciate the flashback to Gloria, and we kind of saw how she plays into the story, the blonde girlfriend.
Yeah, yep.
My husband pointed out it sounds like that was the first time Nick used, although I don't think so. Although the way that they were talking in rehab was that he was a dealer but not a user.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, that he probably carries some residual guilt because the batch that he cooked up was the batch that she overdosed on.
Oh.
Yeah, because that's how we
you
found...
You guys paying attention.
No, look at my husband paying attention. I was shopping for pants. But, that makes sense. And then we get a little more about his dad being kind of emotionally unavailable to him.
Yeah,
which
that was interesting.
I have to be honest, if I liked these characters more and I'm still giving it a chance, all this time later, I'm still giving it a chance, that would be more meaningful to me. So it may become more meaningful later on, Well,
I wouldn't go that far. I just thought it was neat to, where he's like, he just used to come home and just go in his bedroom and just shut himself off from the world, and because he was weak and stuff like that, so that was just a little bit of insight. And I'm like, that's, I did not see that coming.
Well, and that also made me wonder, is he using drugs and alcohol, or one or the other? I mean, because we've always kind of pointed at Madison as the person who's using, but then it makes you wonder what's going on with Nick's dad, that he's completely retreating and unavailable.
Yeah, I think it was just, he was like just a manic depression, and he was always just depressed, because then when you find out what he actually did and in episode 2 or 9 or whatever, then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. The only other cool thing that I thought was neat was the dog scene.
Yeah.
Where the Dobermans are just trying to eat people because they have no food, and they're going backwards to their instincts, and they're hunters now. They're not just obedient dogs. They're hunters now, and they're going to eat whatever they can. So that was cool. And then they didn't distinguish human from walker, and they just went and started attacking the walkers as if they were going to eat them like a person. So that was kind of cool.
Good point. And I actually think we could easily see more of that in the main series, because we almost never see animals. We had that one episode where they ate the band of roving dogs. Mm-hmm. And we've had a little bit of, oh, here's this lost horse. Oh, darn, the zombies ate him. But I think we could potentially have seen more in the original series with that. Because we've got all of these animals in our lives that are completely unaccounted for in the zombie apocalypse.
Well, I agree, but they also probably got eaten because,
Good
I mean,
point.
if you think about it, they're seeing their owner, and I know my dog would still jump up on me, and then I would eat my dog.
Right. And it doesn't take much to overwhelm a poor caged guinea pig.
Yeah, that too.
So that makes sense. Oh, so maybe we should have seen more gruesome remains of pets.
Yeah, more remains of pets. All right, let's do this.
Okay, so we're going to move on to episode 9, which was
Whoopie-doo.
called Los Muertos, which translates to the
Muertos.
dead.
Oh, the dead.
Yeah, and oh, go ahead.
I am getting a little tired of the whole the dead, we're all one of them, this is who we are now, and the whole biblical reference stuff. I'm getting really tired of it.
I do think Nick found what he was looking for, though. That was one thing that I wrote down, because he said in the first episode of this new half of the season to the woman who was from the Abigail group, because that's who that woman was in the very, very open of the mid-season opener. She was a friend of Celia's. And he said to her, where can I find more people like Celia, or something along those lines? And he truly did find those people in this episode. So I felt like that was important. And I also felt like Nick got way more than what he bargained for when he found those people. Because he looked a little shell-shocked at the end of this episode.
Yeah, I think it was just him kind of assimilating.
Right?
Like, I think it was the light switch in his head that just kind of clicked, and now he is just one of the zombies and will walk around and drink the Kool-Aid kind of a deal.
It'll be interesting to see if that happens. It will also be interesting to see if he reconnects with his family or the original band of survivors, and if that makes a difference in terms of how he's adapting to this new world. I mean, I came away from this episode really feeling like Nick was fairly empty, more so than ever.
Yes.
I definitely felt like Los Muertos was referring to the Wall of the Dead. I felt like that was really the thing that it was referring to, but also the metaphysical stuff and the spiritual stuff that you were talking about with Nick.
Yeah. So the Wall of the Dead, that was interesting.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting turn.
Why is it here? What does it do? What kind of happens? I guess we should probably do epic and fail and epic fail first, I guess.
And really,
we're a little out of practice, if you can't tell. Little out of practice.
So I still didn't rate this very high. I rated it 2 out of 5 diving dead.
That's pretty much what I had. It was 2 out of 5, and I was just going to say stage diver, so...
Just a couple of things. So I was able to pick up who the writer and director were from the credits, because once again they're doing that. We're not going to announce it till after it's aired. Alan Page has he's the writer. He's also got some producer credits for Fear the Walking Dead and a writing credit for Ouroboros, which either was from the first half of this season or season 1. I can't remember. But that's the image of the serpent swallowing its tail.
Yes.
And then the director was a woman named Deborah Chow, and she's got some okay cred. She's got Turn and Mr. Robot, both of which I've heard good things about. Vampire Diaries, meh. And then this kind of made me feel really bad because I immediately thought, oh, that's the demographic we're going for. Flowers in the Attic 2014 movie. So that's not very flattering.
So... Do you think maybe they try to bring in a certain demographic? So, 18 to 34 white male, or do you think maybe with this one they're trying to bring in a more Latino viewership since it's kind of based there?
I don't know. I was actually kind of wondering that, and I didn't want to offend anyone's sensibilities, but I kind of wondered if maybe, Walking Dead proper is a pretty, middle American kind of thing. And if maybe they were trying to appeal to people of other than white middle American descent. I mean, I think it's really interesting. I actually think that that's one of the redeeming factors that makes this really different from Walking Dead Prime, is the exploration of going further and further into Mexico and further into a complicated belief system. But I don't know if they're specifically trying to reach a demographic that no one's really reached with this kind of material previously. I do think they're definitely trying for that coveted 18 to 39 male and female demographic because those are the people who've got spare money to spend, right?
Sure.
I mean, you've got kids, I've got horses, so we count out. But but yeah, I mean, I definitely think that they might be shifting to try to have a broader appeal. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find out.
So tell me what your epic is.
My epic was the visuals of this episode. That's really about the best thing I could find was, the idea of them, the bodies flying out of the balconies
was
and
pretty cool.
falling down. It was raining bodies because they were drawn to the piano, and that was neat to look at and watch them bounce off the grass and they kind of get up and start walking again. That sort of realization. And I think for what's Alicia, that was a huge visual to her to watch them jump out and then get up off the ground and start walking again. To her to like, oh crap, like this is real. Like, yeah, you really can't kill them unless you stab them in the head,
I think the other thing that was really shocking about that visual for me was, where's Ophelia? I mean, when I saw the first body go past, I kind of, because I wasn't paying great attention, I looked up and I said, what was that? And my husband said,
whoa.
It was a body. And I said, oh my God, did Ophelia kill herself? So
yeah, I had that half-second thought. They're like, well, maybe, but it's like, no. If she really did kill herself, it would be something that they would have to show. They just wouldn't be able to show her body laying down there.
Well, and I think she'd be smart enough that she would get herself in the head. I think she realizes that.
Yeah.
That if she really wants to opt out.
Yeah, totally. So I think, that's not really how it happens, though. So my perfect world scenario is that Nick dies and nobody ever sees him again.
That would be really horrible, but
that's how it really happens.
Right. We've never had that in either series because you're right. It's totally how it happens.
We always found Beth. We always found somebody.
Yeah.
So whenever they died, somebody either brought a piece of them back or we found them just before they died. That kind of stuff, which is total BS. But no, Nick would die and they would never see him again. The fact that at some point they're all going to link back up again sucks because there's no way that would ever happen ever again.
So we still
one way. You've got a 360 mile, you got a 360 degree radius around this place.
Yeah.
We've gone north, we've gone south. Oh, he's still out there. We got to find him. No, he's gone.
Well, and did you notice that Alicia was like, blah, 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 Travis? And I thought, she's not looking for Travis. She's looking for Nick.
Yeah.
She could give a shit less about, oh, God, I'm sorry, Rob, about Travis. She's looking for Nick.
Yeah. Yep. No, Travis. She has written Travis off in her head for now.
And so the other thing is, I think in terms of your people die and we never find out the answers all the time in real life, we still don't have any answers about Daniel. And I think that's coming. I mean, Ophelia mentioned him tonight and said, basically that she can't survive without him. She can't go on anymore. She's not going to make it. And maybe it's another one of those stories that deserves that ending, which is we don't really know. We never find out the answer.
So we've only lapsed 2 days.
Wow.
So
anything could happen still. And we don't really have Nick, or not Nick, I'm sorry, I keep screwing up the names. We don't really have Travis and who's the brother? Chris. We don't really have Travis and Chris's story yet. We only have
looks like we're gonna get them next week.
Yeah.
But if I was gonna make a bold prediction, I would say that Daniel Salazar shows up at the season finale.
I'm not sure that they'll wait until the season finale, but I agree with your bold prediction. I think we're going to see Daniel Salazar again. I don't think he'll be someone who just dies and we never hear anything again.
Right. So yeah, what's your epic?
My epic was I'm giving them points for the surreal. So I really thought that the image of the village marketplace just being totally normal again after Nick watched that guy literally go and give himself to the dead. That was pretty cool to kind of have him wandering through the village marketplace and everybody's like, hey, no, just totally being themselves, going on with their day. And he's still a little shell shocked from that guy walking into a crowd of zombies, basically.
Yeah, it's gonna be neat. We're gonna learn more about it. We're gonna learn more as we go on. Now that Nick is indoctrinated,
Right.
we're gonna understand. It's like Scientology. You only get to learn certain secrets as you pay your dues.
I like that image. That's good. You may never get the truth of Xenu.
That's right.
The other thing that I really liked was the kind of surreal image of the supermarket with that one boy kind of sitting there as the clerk with the boombox. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, it looked like some of the Walmarts that I've been into. So it wasn't that bad.
Just a little dark. They needed some light, but
yeah, clearly the solar panels were not working well at all.
And I bet you the D batteries are gone because that's what that kid's been using to power that boombox.
Right.
So, epic points for the surreal. I liked that. That was kind of interesting and visually different.
So, my fail was Ophelia not securing the hotel door behind them.
So they got flooded by Zeds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just like, wait a minute. Like, you're seriously just walking away from an open door.
Right. You didn't figure this out, how many episodes ago?
Yeah. Like, it's not your first day on the job. What were they, 4, 5, 6 months into this now?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Like, come on. So that was kind of just me, just like, damn it. But it seemed like this whole show was them getting way too comfortable and being just a bunch of dang newbies.
Well, and I definitely want to talk about Madison and Strand because I think that's really an important part of that topic. But we're not quite there yet.
Not quite there yet.
Okay, so my fail was just deciding to open with Nick. I really felt like I was so done with him last week, and I was so done with that storyline last week, that honestly, if I were not podcasting this at this point, I'm not sure that I would have watched. I was like, come on, guys. Come on. Give me something more. Give me something different. And I'm glad that they fairly quickly did, but I didn't think that opening it with him was such a great plan.
Yeah, I had the same knee-jerk reaction. I'm like, wait, what are we doing? But then I remembered some of the previews, so I knew we were going to get some more. Right.
So what was your epic fail?
My epic was, it's not loading, there we go, Nick stealing the candy.
Oh.
Now, if anybody is going to understand the consequences of gang activity or any kind of seedy underworld drug dealer type happenings, it's Nick.
Sure,
so
that makes
Nick
sense.
would know if you steal, you are going to die. But he steals the candy anyways. And mind you, that they said you get whatever you can fit in the cart. There were plenty of nooks and crannies to stuff that bag of candy in the cart.
And the other thing is, do you really endanger a whole operation for one impulse thing?
This dummy does.
It's interesting because like I said, I feel like Nick is really hollow. I find him trying to be human, like bringing that candy back for that little girl. It's like Nick trying to put on a human suit.
Yeah, I just don't think it's clicking for him. I think he doesn't realize where he's at still, that he has skated by everything so far, this point, that he really genuinely does feel like he can get away with anything. Mm-hmm. And him strong arm talking the dealers is not going to get him, just like the Lucilia or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, it got us out of that situation, but next time it's going to be 10 times worse. So you didn't really do us any favors. In
fact, he created a bigger muddle by doing that.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't just not do favors for the group. He created a mess for the group.
Yeah, we chatted as it was kind of going and saying, yeah, well, now once you're out of Oxy, you're dead. Or I'm going to follow you and kill you.
That was crazy.
Was not a fan of that.
Yeah. And really, honestly, OxyContin is way more powerful than water. Especially when you're on a Baja and you're surrounded by water. I can't think that desalinization would be that complicated. I don't know. Maybe I just think that oxy is a much more powerful currency than water is at this point.
I would think so. But to kind of the pharmacist standpoint, he's not even giving people meds at this point.
Right.
He knows what he needs to survive, and you can go ahead.
And the one guy even says, "No, don't waste any more meds on me." And the guy says, maybe tomorrow. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, everybody sees medication as the currency of the realm.
Yeah, and I mean, you can live with still being in pain. So pain meds are the first ones to go for them, I guess, because they're kind of viewing it like that as, if you have a fractured leg, you're probably not going to survive. So, maybe that's kind of their thought process, and just getting rid of the pains and keeping the antibiotics for yourself at that point, maybe.
I was just going to say antibiotics and insulin. Those are the biggies. Or
just booze. That would work for me.
Well, it wouldn't replace the insulin, but it would probably help just about anything else. Infection, you can pour alcohol on it. Pain, you can drink the alcohol. It's all good.
Your epic fail?
My epic fail was just the realization that it took four main characters to hold up the storyline. So immediately I was somewhat more engaged, and it was because it was like, 4 people in this group. This is going to be more interesting. I'm going to have to pay closer attention. I still like Strand a lot. So I had something that engaged me with this group right away. And I realized that the storylines are too weak right now for a single person like Nick to carry an entire episode. So that was my epic fail, is that it takes more than one person to carry an episode.
Sure. Yeah, I'll totally give you that one. No, that makes sense.
And, I just looking back to some of the really centric episodes, in Walking Dead Prime, where they've looked at just one person and really focused on that one person. I mean, we had the Herschel-centric episode, which I know people are sick of hearing about, but it's still one of my favorites, and like Maggie searching obsessively for Glenn. That focused a lot of energy on her, and that was convincing, and it made sense, and I was interested in it. It takes more than one person in this universe, the way it's set up at this point in time, to carry a show.
Yes, I agree. We're struggling to find a way. We're struggling to find some motivation, and it just like you said, it's no one's strong enough to do it on their own. Yeah. And that's a good point. I like that.
And I think, that next week, Travis and Chris it bodes well. I mean, it has the potential to be more interesting because of that huge struggle, especially inside of Travis, I want medicine. I'm angry with Madison. I want to save my son. My son is a monster. So I think there's a lot of potential conflict there that's going to make it more interesting.
Sure.
Because, fear and conflict, those are really the two things that drive. Love interests are secondary, but they're better than nothing.
So we got the formalities out of the way.
Yeah.
Are we in the Rotten Potpourri section now?
Yeah. So let's talk about Strand and Madison.
Okay.
You cool with that?
Yeah.
So speaking of love interest being secondary, I really liked his line where he said, "I'm a seducer of people."
Mm-hmm. She's like, "Are you hitting on me?"
Yeah. Because, I could definitely see that connection happening between the two of them. It's not unconvincing. And it makes Madison a little more interesting. And Strand has been interesting all along. So, I'm good with it happening. I'm good with it not happening. But the potential is there.
Yeah, so here's kind of how I see that playing out now. I think there was a lot more to that scene than what people probably noticed. Mm-hmm. Just because I think that the entire time Strand has always had the upper hand. I don't need to make friends. I don't need to know your business.
Sure.
Here's where I'm going. Come with me or not. I don't care.
Yeah.
I will leave you all to die.
And, he's actually someone who I think could carry an episode with that kind of going forth into the world.
Yeah, totally.
He did kind of had his own. Well, you don't benefit me, so.
Yeah, he kind of did carry his own episode when you're finding out who he was and how they came to be. And, so now all of that, all of his leverage, all of his everything is gone. And now he does need somebody.
Yeah.
And he's going to do whatever it takes to survive. And like he said, I'm a seducer of people.
And who in this group would benefit him right now? Is there anyone who's got more power or more to offer than Madison does?
I think it's just going to be Madison because of their age proximities.
Yeah.
The girls are going to go be girls, and he has no other choice. So he's just going to connect with Madison because they do kind of have a pre-existing relationship at this point anyways. And Madison did really see who he was with
Abigail.
Yeah. So she knows that side of him and seen it like nobody else did. So I think that'll be more to it.
So the other thing that I thought was really interesting was, yes, they totally are being cocky and careless. We definitely saw that with just how loud and obnoxious they were. And I will tell you, I wrote down in my notebook, Victor Strand's piano playing will wake the dead. But I also think that they are both a couple of really ugly drunks.
Yeah.
Strand not quite so as Madison, but Madison definitely showed us a little more of her darkness.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, so we learned that her husband just killed himself by turning into oncoming traffic.
Well, did he kill himself or was it a DUI? Because that was the other thing I was thinking was it a DUI? She didn't really tell us what happened. She just told us she lied to the kids.
I think he just killed himself just because he was always constantly just, he couldn't survive with life. He just couldn't deal with it anymore.
Which actually, that's an even better story than a DUI, really, quite honestly.
Yeah, I think he was just constantly depressed, and, his kid turned to drugs and the other one turned to whatever. And, as things kept going, she kind of gave up on trying to cheer him up and just let him be depressed all the time. And she was trying to save everybody else. And then finally, he just killed himself.
Well, and so the other thing, I mean, I still think we really know, I believe in my heart of hearts that we know that Madison is an alcoholic. So I wonder, did he give up because he felt responsible for that?
Yeah, who knows?
But that's good. I didn't catch he just gave up and turned into oncoming traffic. That actually makes that death even more tragic and more difficult to absorb. I like that.
So, yeah, I think there's more to that on Strand's side than really her side. I think he's the one who's struggling to find those relationships now because he has to get people to like him now.
Right.
So, side note, was the Abigail gone or did it sink?
No, I think the Abigail got stolen. That was the impression that I had gotten. And the letters that Alicia left on the beach were Abigail gone, head north. And I really think I really truly think the Abigail got stolen. Because they said something about like the Coast Guard waiting or something like that. So I think that the ship was taken.
And that was very Maggie-esque of Glenn head north.
Right. Oh, good callback. I didn't catch that. Or I didn't put it together. Good one.
So one of my rotten potpourris is that I just really liked how the drug dealers had their setup. Like that made so much sense. That's really how this would be. Is that these pre-existing gangs now become law and order, judge, jury, and executioners. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what? They deal in drug dealers? He's like, they deal in everything now. Because they already have the hierarchy. They already have the structure. They already have the pecking order figured out in their gangs. So it is their natural world. And they are up and operational instantly.
That's a really good point.
So they know how to capitalize. Drug dealers aren't stupid. They're smart. They know how to capitalize. They know how to exploit weaknesses. And they instantly knew everything is going to be a commodity. So they took over a warehouse and looted and pillaged everything they could, brought it back to a holding cell, and now, instead of operating like, God dang, what's his face? Baseball bat. Negan.
Yeah.
Jesus. Instead of operating like Negan and just saying, hey, I know where you guys live. You're going to give me these, monthly stipends.
Right.
They don't know where people live, but they know what they need. And they made it known that, hey, if you need supplies, you come bring them. And you better bring me something if you need supplies.
They're like the proto-Negans.
Yeah.
No, I think that's good. And, that certainly has the potential to blossom into a more interesting storyline as well. I mean, I think the thing that was really good about this episode as opposed to the season opener or mid-season opener is that this episode made me think, okay, there's a bunch of interesting new characters coming on board.
Well, so bold prediction number 2 of the night is I definitely think the good people camp is going to be exterminated by the drug dealers.
I think there's real potential for that. And I think that they will just call it part of the people who survive are the chosen ones. And it's that massive migration of the dead that they're talking about.
Yeah, could be. I just think it makes more sense just because Nick's line is, Cecilia was right. We do ruin everything.
Well, and the thing that we know from living in this world for a while is that no place is safe.
Right.
It may be safe for a brief period of time, but no place is ultimately safe.
Or I'm wondering, what if Nick goes back?
Goes back to his family or...
No, goes back to the drug dealers and says, hey, I know how to help you.
You know what?
I know how to help you.
That would be totally something that Nick would do. I can completely see him selling that group out to get better place with the drug dealers.
Well, I was thinking differently. I was thinking, what if Nick goes back to the drug dealers and says, hey, I can help your sister. Look, I know what meds she needs. I'm a junkie. I know how to help her. But in turn, he actually kills her.
Oh.
And now she's a walker inside there and starts killing other people.
Interesting. Is that bold prediction number 3?
Maybe. Maybe.
So let's talk about the Wall of the Dead. I mean, I thought that was an interesting idea. And at first I was like, are they sacrificing this person to the zombies to placate them? Are they feeding the bitten to the dead? Or are they just freaked out about killing people who are bitten, so they're using the dead to kill those people? I mean, I totally was not tracking. And then when they started talking about we feed ourselves to the dead to continue to be part of the community, I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, I missed that part.
Yeah, so that's what their idea is that like the old guy who said, don't give me any more meds, I'm not going to be here for very much longer anyway. So I kind of got the sense after hearing that he's going to go feed himself to the Wall of the Dead, and they become protectors of the community by being zombies. So they're still part of the community. They keep unwanted people out of the community. Yeah, that's kind of the way that's what I walked away with it from, is that those people are still, they're dead and they're zombies, but they are an integral part of their community because they protect the community.
So you're dying, so you just go give yourself to them.
Right, instead of becoming a zombie and becoming a menace to the people in the human part of the community, the people that you care about, you offer yourself to the crowd of zombies to become a protector of the people that you care about.
I was wondering if it was maybe... So I missed that part, so this note that I have written down now will mean nothing. But I was wondering if he did something to his daughter. Like if he committed some sort of crime.
Oh, uh-huh. And that was their way of punishing criminals?
Yep. And that was his sentence, was that you're walking into the dead.
So I don't think it's true in that particular case because I think he was sick. I got the sense that he was bitten or sick. But I think that that's a really valuable way of handling criminals in that community. You committed a crime against the community. The only way to redeem yourself is to give yourself to the Wall of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
So I think either theory works. And I think either theory allows that person to go on and become a productive part of the community, if that makes sense.
Sure does.
But that was a pretty cool idea, and it kind of plays into that whole apocalyptic vision of the new world and the religion of the new world. Because they're definitely hanging on to that, and I mean, I'm reading this in because I don't know tons about Central American spirituality, but kind of reading in or leading into that whole thing about just a different way of looking at spirituality and death, and a different way of finding meaning.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, there's lots of cool stuff about that, and it's a really neat way of thinking about it. Is that, look, I'm going to die anyways. I might as well continue to serve the community. I
think that's what really is happening. And that gives me hope for the second half of the season because, they are opening up a lot of interesting things. And there's part of me Thank you. You talked me off the ledge a little bit. That thinks maybe the opener was just a dud and we're starting slowly, but we're going to start again.
Yeah, it was definitely a dud. I don't know why they did that. That was terrible.
Yeah.
We did kind of talk off air before we started going about, I genuinely believe that gap did a lot more damage than it did good. Taking that break with Preacher and everything in between, I genuinely feel that did more
to pull you away from the series.
Yeah, because I knew everybody's names. I had everybody down. I have forgotten everybody's names.
Well, we kind of joked about, in this case, absence doesn't necessarily make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, it's that, hey, let's take a break and kind of see where we're at after 2 months and see if we really miss each other.
Yeah.
And I was the crazy bachelor spending the night in Vegas having fun because I didn't miss you.
Sam,
so I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
I'll be out in Vegas in October.
Oh, really? What are you going to do?
Business.
Oh, right on.
Yep.
I was really hoping to make it to a Walking Dead con, a Walker Stalker con this year, and after the expenditure in the gigantic horse trailer and the gigantic truck, it's just not going to be a reality this year, which is really a bummer, but my babies are safe, and that's good. So...
One of these days, I'll find my way to something snazzy like that.
Yeah, well, we'll have to go and get press passes and be real people.
Be real cool then.
Well, I think we're good. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Alicia barging into the emergency escape was kind of aggravating.
Oh, actually, I have something totally not related to the kind of related to the show.
Okay, I got one more.
One more.
So
okay.
I did catch a what do they call them? Movie boo-boos.
Oh, yeah.
So when Strand is walking over to the piano, there's a glass already setting on it. And then when they switch the camera angle a little bit, he then sets the glass down.
Oh, how funny.
On the piano. I'm like, oh, wait, because I seen it. I'm like, nobody was at the piano because it was the glass he was drinking out of.
That's pretty funny.
And then he set it down on the reshoot of him, going back to the piano. So... Okay, your turn.
I just wanted to thank Thomas O'Mara for the meme that I think really sums up the way that we both felt about the season opener, which was literally people watching paint dry.
Yeah, that was pretty funny.
It was really good.
So, closing thought here. Do you think the pharmacist, whatever his name is, do you think he's immune? Do you think it's a drug? Or do you think it's BS?
So pharmacist / priest
/ leader.
Yeah. I think he's another Celia. I think he's a Celia in pharmacist clothing, and I think that it's all bullshit.
Me too.
God.
Oh, man, that's 3 for Rob.
That's 3, man. Ugh.
I think it's BS. I think it's fake.
Yeah, I do too. I think that... when you have a belief system that tries to make meaning out of everything, it's easier to take those things that mean nothing and give them meaning too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think he was bitten.
Yeah.
It's something, something happened, something somewhere. Herschel survived a bite technically.
Right.
So does that mean he should have been, the second coming and the savior? No, they were able to stop it, cut his leg off, and save his life. Now, do I think they cut a piece out of his deltoid or whatever it is? I don't know, but I just don't buy it as he took a bite there and survived.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I think the thing about Herschel's bite is that the obvious answer was to cut off the leg and keep the infection from moving. The obvious answer in this guy's case would have been cut off the arm and keep the infection from moving. You can't just cut out part of it, I think.
So I think it's fake, and I think we'll find out at some point. Because it's easier to write it off as BS. He was just using it as a cover. We'll find out he's like some kind of criminal or something, and maybe he was a drug dealer. And maybe that's where Nick finds his niche. is that he's watching this guy's stash and he sees him being a user because maybe he recognizes track marks, and then he finds out, wow, he's really not even a pharmacist. He's just a drug addict.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, you're completely full of crap, you bastard. And then he cracks the whole thing open just as the drug dealers are raiding the village, and then him and the hot chick get out.
And who is really, really good at building a story and leading people on? An addict.
You betcha.
You know?
Interesting.
So I got nothing else, man.
Me neither.
All right. So let's remember.
Take it one dead day at a time. Yeah, whatever.
All right. I will talk to you next week. And everybody thank you for hanging in with us. Would love to hear your feedback about the opener and these first 2 episodes because...
Love you.
Yeah. Talk us up the ledge, guys. Come on. All right. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.